Instant coffee is the coffee most people underestimate. It looks like brown dust, dissolves in seconds, and somehow travels farther than almost any cafe drink. But here's the twist. It is real brewed coffee, made into a concentrate, then dried into crystals or powder. Spray drying is fast and cheap. Freeze drying is slower and gentler, helping preserve more aroma. The flavor is usually bitter, roasted, and simple, but its power is convenience. Soldiers, travelers, offices, and midnight kitchens all rely on it. But once coffee stops being instant, the next version turns pressure into theatre.
Espresso is not a bean, it is a method. Hot water is forced through finely ground coffee under pressure, creating a tiny drink with a silky body, sharp aroma, and a golden creamer on top. Most people think espresso means more caffeine, but per serving it can have less than a large drip coffee because the cup is so small. The magic is concentration. Oils, acids, sweetness, and bitterness packed into one quick shot. Italy turned it into a daily ritual, but cafes turned it into a foundation. Because once espresso exists, cappuccinos, lattes, and macchiatos can exist too. The next coffee goes older and darker.
Turkish coffee feels ancient because it refuses to be filtered. Very fine coffee is simmered with water, often with sugar, in a small pot called a jezve, then poured with the ground still inside. The result is dense, earthy, and intense, with a soft layer of foam and a muddy layer at the bottom you do not drink. The strange part is that the texture is part of the experience. It slows the cup down. It turns coffee into conversation, ceremony, and sometimes fortune-telling from the leftover grounds. But across another region, coffee became sweet, cold, and built around a different bean.
Vietnamese coffee is proof that Robusta can be powerful, delicious, and completely misunderstood. Vietnam became one of the world's major Robusta producers, and the local Fin filter turns that strong bean into a slow drip. The cup is dark, nutty, bitter, and often poured over sweet condensed milk, making it rich and creamy instead of harsh. Most people don't know this style grew partly because fresh milk was not always easy to keep in the heat, so condensed milk became tradition. Served iced, it is almost dessert and fuel at the same time. But chefs and roasters chase a very different kind of sweetness next.
Specialty light roast is where coffee starts tasting less like coffee and more like fruit, flowers, honey, or tea. The beans are usually traced to a farm, variety, altitude, and processing method, then roasted lightly to protect delicate flavor. But here's the twist. Light roast is not weak. It can be bright, juicy, grassy, and sharp because the roast has not covered the origin with heavy smoke. Professional cuppers score these coffees for aroma, acidity, body, balance, and defects. Chefs like them because they behave like ingredients, not just caffeine. And then there is one bean that looks wrong before it even gets roasted.
Peaberry coffee is visually strange because the bean is round. Normally, a coffee cherry holds two flat-sided seeds pressed together. In a peaberry, only one seed develops, so it grows into a small oval bead. Producers separate it by screen size and shape, then sell it as a special lot. Some drinkers say peaberries roast more evenly and taste brighter, with a concentrated sweetness and a clean, snappy finish. Others say the difference depends more on origin and roasting than shape. That is the interesting part. A tiny mutation became a premium category. But the next coffee is famous for a process that sounds almost impossible to sell. Kopi Luwak is the coffee people remember for one reason. The beans passed through an Asian palm civet. Traditionally, wild civets ate ripe coffee cherries. The seeds passed through digestion and people collected, cleaned, dried, roasted, and brewed them. The cup is often described as smooth, earthy, and less sharp, but the story is complicated. Demand created serious animal welfare concerns, especially with caged civets, and authenticity can be hard to prove. So the strangest coffee is not always the best coffee. It is a lesson in marketing, ethics, and rarity, and the most expensive version is not expensive for the reason you think.
Panama Geisha is the luxury coffee that changed what people thought coffee could taste like. The variety became famous in Panama, especially from high-elevation farms around Bouquet, where careful picking and processing can reveal jasmine, bergamot, peach, and silky sweetness. At elite auctions, top lots have sold for astonishing prices, sometimes reaching well above $1,000 per kilogram. But the price is not just hype. It comes from low yields, intense sorting, famous estates, global demand, and a flavor profile that feels closer to fine tea than diner coffee. Still, some coffees are rare not because they win auctions, but because history nearly erased them. Yemeni coffee is one of the oldest and most romantic names in the coffee world. Before mocha meant chocolate syrup, mocha was a Red Sea port that helped send coffee from Yemen to the world. The beans are often grown on dry mountain terraces, processed naturally and dried with the fruit still around the seed. That can create a wild cup, fruity, winey, earthy, spicy, sometimes a little fermented. The strange part is that inconsistency is part of its identity. Yemen's terrain, water limits, and hand production make it difficult and rare. But to understand coffee's beginning, you have to go even deeper into Ethiopia.
Ethiopian heirloom coffee feels like coffee before it was standardized. Ethiopia is where Arabica's story is deeply rooted, and many local varieties are genetically diverse rather than neatly identical. In places like Yirgacheffe, Sidama, and Guji, washed coffees can taste floral, lemony, delicate, and tea-like, while natural coffees can be berry-rich, sweet, and fragrant. Most people don't know that heirloom can hide many different local types under one label. That mystery is part of the magic. The cup can taste ancient and modern at once. But once coffee becomes valuable, origin needs protection, and the next chapter is about law as much as flavor.
Jamaica Blue Mountain is coffee with a legal border around its name. It must come from approved areas in Jamaica's Blue Mountains and meet certification standards before it can be sold under that label. The taste is usually described as clean, mild, nutty, and balanced, with gentle acidity instead of aggressive bitterness. Its fame grew because the mountains offer cool mist, steep slopes, and limited production. But here's the twist. The name itself is valuable, so certification matters. Without it, Blue Mountain style is not the same thing. Protected coffee shows how geography becomes flavor. Next, science removes the one molecule many people drink coffee for. Decaf coffee is not caffeine-free magic. It is coffee that has had most of its caffeine removed before roasting, usually while the beans are still green. Some methods use solvents, some use carbon dioxide, and the Swiss water process uses water, temperature, time, and carbon filtration. The challenge is simple to say and hard to do. Remove caffeine without stripping the sweet, roasted, nutty flavors people want. That is why bad decaf tastes flat, but good decaf can taste surprisingly full and clean. The strange part is that decaf is one of coffee's most scientific products. But science gets even stranger when animals join the process. Black Ivory Coffee takes the animal-processed idea to an extreme. In Thailand, Arabica coffee cherries are eaten by elephants, then the beans are recovered, cleaned, dried, roasted, and sold in tiny quantities. The company describes the process as biofermentation influenced by digestion and the elephant's diet. The cup is often marketed as smooth, soft, and low in bitterness, with chocolatey and earthy notes. But the real reason it becomes expensive is yield. It takes a lot of cherries, time, labor, and careful collection to produce very little finished coffee. That one is extreme by method. The next is extreme because people judge it unfairly.
Robusta is the coffee everyone thinks they know. Cheap, bitter, strong, and used for instant coffee. But that is only part of the story. Robusta, from Coffea canephora, grows well in hotter, lowland regions and can resist some pressures that make Arabica difficult to farm. It often has more caffeine, a heavier body, and flavors that can be earthy, woody, nutty, or dark chocolate-like. Low-quality Robusta can be harsh, but carefully grown fine Robusta can be surprisingly clean and powerful, especially in espresso blends. The misunderstood bean may matter more as climates change, and that leads to the final coffee, the future hiding in the past.
Stenophylla is the coffee that feels like a warning and a promise. This rare West African species was nearly forgotten. Then, researchers brought new attention to it because it can tolerate warmer conditions than Arabica, while still showing an Arabica-like flavor in tastings. Imagine a cup that could be fruity, complex, and delicate, but grown where the old coffee map is changing. It is not replacing your morning brew tomorrow. It is a reminder that coffee is not one thing. It is chemistry, climate, labor, history, money, and taste in a single cup. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, you'll probably like the video on screen about every tea explained.